If you feel like the Jigglypuff, where the stories that you tell puts people to sleep, and you want to do something about it, here are 5 practical steps to tell better stories. And number 5 is my personal favorite. So you might want to stick around for that. So what are the 5 practical tips? S-T-O-R-Y. So let's get into it. Number 1 is S. Start your scene with sceneries. Now what does this mean? It means that the stories that you tell, it is good if you can implement some form of scenery, such as the location, the timeline, when did it happen. So for example, if you were going to a New Year's party and you were saying something like this, I was celebrating New Year's with my friends. That's it, right? But if you want to make it more interesting, you could share something like this. It was the last day of 2022. I was with my friends in the tallest building in Malaysia, watching the fireworks. So just by adding when did it happen, where did it take place, you now create a scene so vivid in the audience's mind. And that is how you grab your audience's attention. Number 2, twists. So in your story, it is always good to have some form of twist so that you misdirect where your audience think the story is going to go. Why is this important? Is because when you tell your stories in a predictable manner, your audience will automatically fill in the gap of where the ending will be. For example, if your title of your speech is Be Grateful, obviously the audience will know at the end of your speech you are going to be grateful, or at least someone is going to be grateful. So you want to be able to create some form of mystery or twist in your story so that it breaks the anticipation of what your audience had in mind. For example, let's say you walk into a room and someone just told you, hey, you just won $1 million. So right now you have 2 options. Number 1, cash it out right now, but there's a high charge. Or number 2, we can pay you out slowly. And then you went on and said that, looking at these 2 options, I was tempted. And you know what I did? I walked out the room. So when you do that, people are now engaged because you did something that was surprising to them. So adding twists in your stories create that form of surprise, and it breaks the monotony and predictability of your stories. So if you're liking this video so far, why not drop a like, share and subscribe so more people can benefit from this video. Number 3, and that is open with the action. Now, if you watch all the action movies that take place in today's world, you will notice that they will always start their stories with guns and blazing, right? Something is going to happen. They will shoot this main character, the cars are driving at high speeds, and you always feel that you're at the edge of the seat trying to find out what's going to happen next. So similarly, when you tell your stories, don't tell us all the unnecessary details at the start of your story. Go straight into the action. For example, if you want to tell a story about riding your boat or rowing your boat down the stream, and there was a beautiful scenery as you're going down this beautiful lake, people are going to get bored, right? So instead of telling us that, go straight to the action. For example, I'm on my boat rowing, and in about 1 minute, something's going to happen because there's a waterfall right in front of me. Then the audience are more engaged because they are going to feel like they want to find out what's going to happen to you. Are you going to fall off the boat? Are you going to go to your demise? What's going to happen? So open with the action rather than telling us all the unnecessary information at the start of your story. Number 4, R, which stands for real. In your stories, sometimes you have the opportunity to reel your audience in by making them a part of your story. How can you do this? You reel them by asking rhetorical questions. So for example, in your story, if you talk about feeling disappointment, then you can ask your audience that question. Have you felt disappointed? Or maybe you could even say something like this. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? Doing that will help the audience to feel like they are a part of your stories and they have their own answers in mind. So they feel like they're playing along. So it's a great way to capture your audience's attention. Number 5, and that is why. Now this is one of my personal favorites because this means your conversations. Your conversations with other people. Your conversations with yourself. When you add conversations in your stories, what this does is it paints the picture clearly in the audience's mind as though that they are watching it live as it's happening right now. Let's just say you're going with the same story of feeling disappointed. You could say something like this. A, right? I was in my room feeling disappointed with myself. And so disappointed that I decided to go to sleep. So that's narrating. But now let's add in a little bit of conversations. I was in my room feeling disappointed. And in my mind it was telling me, Mahathir, why did you do this? And that made me feel worse. And I decided to just go to bed. So just by adding a little bit of dialogue, conversations into your story, you put your audience's mind in a situation like they are there watching it happen. So there you have it, S-T-O-R-Y. And this will definitely turn you from a Jigglypuff of storytelling to a Machamp of storytelling. And since we're in this video right now, wouldn't you want to know how to structure your story so that it tells in a nice and structured manner? So if you do, then check this out right now.